as artists in a room, in a space, in a world, being creative, intrinsically human, the only generative real way, right, to generate creativity things. And then you have generative AI now generating images, music, content, media posts, things, pictures. The question goes to the table, what is the future of humans in a space where AI is generating? Welcome to Artful Pods of Wisdom, where creativity and critical thinking collide. In today's episode, we're tackling a topic that's more relevant than ever: rage against the machine. As AI continues to evolve faster and more efficiently, how do we preserve what makes us human? The creativity, the reflection, and the connection we share in the arts. In a world that often pushes us to produce and consume, we're talking about how we can reclaim the space to imagine, doodle, and simply create for the joy of it. Let's explore the fine line between AI-generated content and human creativity and what that means for the future of art. Join artist and arts administrator in Santa Ana Unified, Robin McNair, accompanist, social media manager, and music writer, Elvin Capulli, elementary music educator and singer, Ingrid Bowers, writer, composer, musician, and music production teacher, Ian Fowles, and your host, Sofia Cuevas, in talking how might we rage against the machine. Let's join the conversation.
But I think for me personally, I don't understand it all yet, so I'm still learning it with the kids. I think for the human touch of it is that they still have to have the knowledge and the skills to give the voice to what they want AI to do. Because if you're asking it to generate something, then you need yourself to have the vocabulary and the elements and skills and concept knowledge to be able to ask it to do what you want it to do, unless someday AI can just teach us back, which it's already out there with other forms of AI.
Be why Sophia asked me here today. She might know my feelings that I'm pretty against using AI in the music industry.
Yeah.
And I'm also going to run that back real quick, just so people don't think I'm releasing AI music into the world.
Sorry.
Or album art. I use it I was talking to Ian earlier, right before we jumped onto this podcast, using it kind of as a jumping board and as a tool, just as I think Google and the internet became a tool. I'm talking music industry talk, just like when autotune became a tool for musicians. I think when autotune came about, everyone also thought, oh my goodness, now anyone who can't sing can become a singer and be famous. But then in my experience in that world, you can't lie once you get on stage and sing, unless that's your shtick, like T-Pain or something else, right? When you get on stage and you're singing,
You're live.
You're live. It's real. And to bring back the conversation to the human element versus AI, I personally don't think artists have anything to worry about, because AI will never have that human touch, that imperfection. And so you're going to want to see what someone is really feeling in that moment, whether it's on CD, whether it's on stage. Just a little out of mind.
I've been in concerts where the artist stops in the middle of the performance and has to have a moment. You can't get that by generating something, trying to impersonate. Also, Ian, I'd love to hear more about your thoughts and lean into what your thinking is around all of that AI.
Sure. You guys asked for it. Here it goes.
Full send.
Bring it on.
And I've thought a lot about this, but I think it's going to be here, and it's going to be here to stay. There's going to be kind of no stopping it, really, to be out there. But and Alvin and I were talking about this too, and he just mentioned that the live performance aspect of music is always going to be human. There's if you're going to watch hologram Tupac or something, that's like watching a movie. There's no interaction, there's no human element with that. There's always going to be a live music component that people are going to see and have this energetic exchange with the artist on stage. I don't think that's going away at all. The thing I worry about is that artists will then use the AI as a crutch, and then maybe further than that, just give up completely on their own creativity. Mm-hmm. And I think there's inherently a spiritual aspect to creativity, and there's a connection that music and ideas and art, it comes from someplace, and whatever you want to call that, but that the artist is often a channel, really, that brings it to life through their own filters, right? And especially, well, maybe they'll just use it not for instruments, but just for writing lyrics or something. But even to me, something like that is something so personal, maybe one of the most personal things about a song where people connect to and sing back to you live when you're performing, that I think they shouldn't be even used.
AI can generate content at lightning speed, but is faster always better? As artists, we have to ask ourselves, where is a space for reflection and exploration when everything is driven by speed? Creativity isn't a race. It's a process that requires time, mistakes, and the human touch. The question becomes, how do we make space for that process in a world that's pushing us to do more, faster? What machine are we truly raging against?
Although today we're talking about raging against the machine. So what does that mean? Because, I think about the group Rage Against the Machine.
We can talk about them, yeah.
Well, so two things with the Rage Against the Machine and the experience. And this is where I get concerned with Oculus lenses and the Vision Pro and the AI, and it's creating this access to experiences, but is it real? And the verbiage real keeps coming back. And to me, when experiencing Oculus, Vision Pro, the hologram experiences, it's not real. And now I have this person who's telling me about this real life moment that went to see Hamilton in person, and oh my God, I smelled the sweat of Beyonce, and I'm over here like, I saw it on the Vision Pro.
I think it's it's all the modalities that we talk about in learning. Because when you're experiencing it for real, everything's being, sort of energized. Mm-hmm. And I was watching What's Next, which is, I just finished the whole documentary on Netflix. Mm-hmm. And the woman was talking about Replica, the AI, and she created it to help with mental health, because when social media came out, mental health went down, just severely down, right? People felt isolated. So she wanted people to have somebody to talk to. But they were talking to them and becoming addicted to talking to this AI, basically a chatbot, and then falling in love with it. And so countries actually had to mandate a stop. And that, to me, is a huge detriment to society, because I already see kids and adults who struggle with communication face-to-face. And that is concerning to me, because that, I don't know, for me, that's my whole MO. I want to communicate.
And see, this is where the Rage Against the Machine comes in, because I had asked Albin and the team a while back ago of, were we always this busy? Were we always on the go and scheduled and timed, and our calendars were filled up with soccer practices and plays and events and shows and school and items we had to do and laundry that's piling up and the dishes that are piling up, and then you're like, but I have a dishwasher so I can do it quicker, so we can add more dishes and we can do more dishes and we can. So the more that the technology came in, the more we did. And the more we did, the more we had technology. And at this point, I'm kind of like, well, that's the machine. Like, we, to some extent, are this machine that wants to go, do more, be more, have more, create more, explore more. And at what point...
Is that greed, though, or is that...
So, I have so many thoughts, I'm writing notes. One of the books I read 100 years ago when I was in college. It was called Ideas Have Consequences. And it was all about, right? And nobody could foresee where we're at right now. But the idea is that we sort of domesticate the wild in us. And then I saw this on a recent thing where we were saying we were disconnecting from our own humanity because we're machinating, turning things into machines to make things go faster and do more for us. So we're disconnecting from our own humanity. And I love that it took artists to foresee, I don't know if any of you saw that movie, Her.
That's
Yeah.
what made me think about.
Yeah, exactly. And then we were recently at a convening with students and educators around the state regarding AI in education and what's that going to look like. And they did talk about don't engage too young because people get in their own echo chambers. They need the social skills. Artists get rejected all the time. We have to learn how to be rejected. My poor daughter's experiencing that right now. So if we're living in a space that's only going to feed us what we want to hear, we're never going to be able to cross over and connect with others and see other sides and learn what it feels like to be complete. We're just going to be in our own echo chamber. So you've surfaced some really critical reasons why we're never going to be able to replace the human in AI. Ian, it looks
No,
like it's
yeah, I
thoughts.
was wanting to respond to Sophia because like the dishwasher example, like I need AI to make me a better dishwasher. I want AI to do my dishes so I have time to make my art. I don't want to have AI make my art so I have more time to do dishes.
Good point.
That's the thing, right? Like I want to be able to create my own art. So I'd rather have AI focus on the more mundane jobs or tasks that it can get done better somehow. So
Technology was supposed to make life easier, but has it only made us busier? Think about it. We have dishwashers, but that just means we have time to pile up more dishes. Are we becoming machines? Instead of embracing the quiet moments of daily tasks that once allowed us to reflect, we fill every minute with more to-dos. How do we break free from this constant cycle and find time to just be? To create, reflect, and connect with each other in meaningful ways. As artists or patrons of the arts, what might it look like to truly engage with art forms that bring us joy simply because it does? Let's listen in.
I was just thinking about being busy. I would say that if you go back, we were busy. It was a different kind of busy. And so like I think of my grandpa as a farmer. He laid down and looked at the clouds. And people don't do that much anymore. I think now we go to our phone. And I do think we need to learn from social media because we're still doing some litigation or bills or laws regarding social media and safety. I mean, Instagram just started to put in some safety for our teens. So I do think we have to look at the safety piece as we're moving forward.
I was going to bring that up, the social media aspect, and hoping that we had learned something from social media and or smartphones, because I feel like those are the cigarettes of the 20th century that we didn't see the dangers. It was just kind of like something that came about, and we're like, oh, it's a cool place to share pictures. And I think I saw interviews of Zuckerberg where it's like the problems that we're seeing in social media now, that was never the intention. It was just something that grew so rapidly, so quickly that they're like, oh, we got to pull the reins in on this without even realizing it was happening. I hope there's someone out there while making AI, but I already see it's probably going to happen, that there will be bad things, most likely, that'll come from it, and hopefully that us as a society and collective can rein it in and be like, wait, there's going to be problems that we foresee with this,
Yeah.
and how can we avoid those?
Unintended consequences. The ideas have consequences. The guys who created the scrolling, the endless scrolling for social media, right? That's become addictive.
And someone shared that they put a timer on their phone, and I use that now. Do you know how many times I turn the timer off? I go over my hour. I allow myself an hour for social media, and I am constantly going, no, it's okay. I can still do some more.
Just 5 more minutes. Just 5 more minutes.
Yeah. I think the conversation is steered out of AI into just general technology. That's what I meant by, I think it's a different conversation. Sure, there's merit to like being able to do the mundane things of life and sit with boredom and having to do that. But like, I'm a dad with 3 kids, and I get home and I make them dinner, bathe them, put them to bed. I have like a few hours to make music, at night, and it's like I don't want to do the dishes too. I'd rather be making music. So that's where I think that, like, I'm just saying, like, it'd be easier to put technology to use to take care of some of those mundane things. Like, I know how to do the dishes. I've done them for years, obviously.
Do you see
But
how,
that's time wasted where I could be making music.
Yeah.
sorry about that.
Yeah.
Do you see how there are possibilities for the classroom? Because you get stuck with a lot of mundane tasks in the classroom, whether it's writing a letter.
No,
that
I
has to
definitely
go-
think there's room for AI, sure, for tools that speed up work, streamline work, especially for teachers. And there's definitely AI tools I've used in music creation, as far as like, there's an AI plugin to get rid of background noise for podcasts. We have 30 plus kids in a room doing a podcast, there's going to be background noise. You can use this tool to eliminate that, right? So stuff like that, great. It streamlines the process. But I'm talking as far as like,
Creating
yes,
from the
like
heart.
exactly, like
that core.
creating, exactly.
We turn to, shoot, I don't know how to write this next lyric. AI can help, and then so does that speed up the process? And then we lose a piece of ourselves?
Yes.
I
I
agree.
mean, I did talk to Ian earlier how I was kind of using AI. I don't think I've ever finished a song with AI yet, actually. I've used it as prompts to like do stuff.
Lazy. No.
But it does, like, there is something to be said about writing a lyric and sitting with it and be like, there's something completely right or wrong with that. And I think I'm trying to think back. I think I have input into AI, how would you improve this lyric? And it spit something back to me, and I was like, it's just, it's not it. And like, there's something about just like, I think that's a printer. I think, I was thinking back to a time in the studio when I was writing a song, and the most uncomfortable thing when you're in studio, I don't know, Ian, if you can agree with me on this, that when they ask you to change something, like when you're already recording, like the lyric or a guitar part, and you're sitting there and you're like, all right, we're gonna hit that tomorrow, come up with something at night, and you just go back to your, whether you're at
Sometimes it's like, okay, we need to take another pass and do it differently.
yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay. You got to think on the spot, right? And that's where like the inspiration factor comes in. There's magic that happens in the studio like
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
I think social media has poisoned that well pretty good,
Yep.
because they think it's just like everything is instant gratification. And if they didn't become this amazing singer, this amazing painter, this amazing skateboarder overnight, they're like, well, can't do a kickflip after one day, or I can't play a scale or sing this high note that they just are like, well, wasn't made to do it. Where it's like, you don't know that it took them, I'm just gonna go back to skateboarding, it might have taken them a year to do some little tiny trick that on social media is like, oh, they just did that.
Right.
Yeah, the resilience and grit that comes from persistence.
Not talent.
Correct.
We just had this discussion in our class, talent versus skill. And I had to tell them, like, okay, overnight successes are at least 10 years worth of work that you didn't see, the
Yeah.
10,000 hours or whatever that went into it, right? So, yeah, so I don't know. AI didn't put in that hours.
We often think of AI as a tool that can do more for us, but where do we draw the line? Can we apply AI in ways that support our creativity and humanity rather than replace it? The danger isn't just in the technology itself, but in how we choose to use it. How do we ensure that AI enhances our creative processes without overshadowing what makes us human, our imagination, emotion, and connection? And what about those who imagine ways to cut corners with AI and machine learning? Are we at risk of losing our humanity entirely if we allow the machine to prioritize efficiency over authenticity?
Trust ourselves.
Well, I think that's part of what Ian said, like it's here.
Yeah.
I guess my thing is the so what, now what, especially if we maintain this rage against the machine. And I think of the artist, and her name escapes me at the moment, so I'll add it later. But I think of the artist who took gum from the side of the street, took the DNA from the gum, used generative AI and 3D print models to recreate the faces of the people that spit their gum out on the sidewalk instead of putting it in a trash can. And she created this gallery of our environmental home. And I think she was in New York. And to me, I was like, I would be so mortified if I went into this gallery space and I was like, that was my gum. Oh my God.
Right.
Yet at the same time, I'm kind of like, whoa, again, that rage against this norm that it's okay to spit out your gum.
And then I guess it's just that I'm a lawyer's daughter, sorry. But I say to myself, like, where's the justification for that? Because she didn't get consent, and then we're not allowed to do, share images of people without their consent. So then are we going to say like, okay, because you spat, that's now open data for all of us. Oh, you got rid of your food. That's my data. I can use that. So how are we going to protect that? And
a host of legal issues with music and AI too. I mean, yeah, does like they've have fake Drake already singing songs, right? And it's millions of hits. Does Drake own his own voice? Does the record label? Is it open source? Like who makes money? Someone's making money off that, right? It's not Drake. So, like, there's so many questions.
Well, and I have a friend who I happened to give her a call this weekend because she works in cybersecurity for law enforcement. And so I said, what are you doing that's good, right? Because I tend to go to the negative. So the good stuff is, they're able to take their own images or images from people that they know and put them down into a young child and catch child predators online. And then they do a meetup and they catch them.
Oh.
I think that's brilliant. That's a good use of it, right? On the other side, insurance fraud is huge now. So people are saying, this is what happened to my car, this is what happened to my kitchen, but that didn't really happen. That's AI. And so they're saying that some of the insurance industry now is not accepting pictures. You have to go in person to actually physically. So now there's a human connection. Now I can't accept the data. I have to physically go in and see it with my own eyes before I prove it. So now you've got humans coming back into the picture. Right. So that was an unintended outcome.
There's a great musical example of fraud that just happened. Did you hear about this case? There's a man who made a bunch of songs with AI, loaded them onto streaming services, and then had bots stream those services, and he collected $10 million and just got busted for it.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he didn't make the music, and then music didn't even get real plays, and he made $10 million off of it.
That's crazy.
And then you have to know.
He should have shot lower, so that it would have gone under the radar,
Well, and that's where it
could have made a decent living for a long time. They had to go for $10 million.
Just cents on each song. I think that's the fight right now amongst innovators, is that if we create regulation, then we won't have the creativity. But then if we don't create regulation, then how do we control the machine?
Well, that's the one piece of legislation that ASCAP, music publishers, are trying to do right now, is to have musicians who sign it who don't want their music being used to teach the AI. They like, you cannot use, I'm not allowing you to use my music for the AI to learn how to make music.
The evolving relationship between AI and human creativity is something to explore. Like any artist, experiment with it and make it your own through your own unique lens. As we've discussed, the machine is here, but that doesn't mean it has to take over. It's up to us to decide how we engage with it. Let's keep pushing for spaces where critical thinking, creativity, and the human touch reign supreme. Until next time, stay curious, stay creative, and remember, there's beauty in slowing down and embracing what makes us human. Thanks for joining the conversation.
To me, if we just say AI can do it all, why am I here?
Exactly, but that's what I'm saying.
Right.
Why am I here?
Why am I here? There has to
Have
be
go
a
back to
purpose still. There has to be a human touch.